things in here that we all have our frustrations with. Unless my suspicions are true that I'm the only person in the world who doesn't have it together and everybody else has it.
Yes, you are.
Everybody else has it
I
together
don't
for
know
me.
what we're doing here.
Yes, I know, you don't have to show.
It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy.
Bring everything you can lose in your
Okay. You're failing, miserable. So, the topic I wanted to talk about was, because Nathan and I were discussing this, and we both have this in a slightly different ways, but the way that we react when plans we have made they go awry. And we found it on different levels. Like, I found that for myself, it's kind of like one of the most, it happens on many different, but the one that happens the most often for me is, for example, when I think I've figured out what I'm going to do on a certain day. Like, I go, okay, today when I come home from work, I'm going to take a shower, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then I get home, and then Nate is like, oh, we need to go to the grocery store. And I'm like, I get really upset. Like, I get like, I go from being a happy person to just this cranky little ball of anger, which is also my default state in the morning. In case you like that. This is one that happens to me. I mean, there's other ways that plans go awry that I also don't care for either, but this is one that happens all the time. Is when I think I know what. Or there's an expectation that a certain event is going to happen, like, okay, I'm gonna commit to, I don't know what, fixing something on my car, or I'm gonna commit to making a purchase for the house, and then, oh well, that can't be done because X, Y, and Z. Well, and then there's just a physical thing inside me. I'm just like, I get all upset. And then as we were talking about this. We were seeing, so this mine's happening on one level, and then, I'm sorry I'm picking on you, Nate, but like Nate's was happening on another level, and it seemed like more minutia with Nate. Like yours was like, if, what were some of the ones that were yours? Like if you,
I'm hearing this for the first time.
like we didn't have a conversation about, okay, clearly. You've shown your hand that you're not listening to me. Shame.
No win situation for you.
And no, I'm just teasing. But like yours seem to be on a smaller level. Like if we go somewhere to eat and then they don't have the thing anymore, you know what I mean? Like you guys ever go somewhere to eat and you get the same thing all the time, and then one day you go there and they don't have that thing no more, and then you're just like, why did I even come here? And now you're stuck, and then you're like, well, we're gonna go somewhere else. What are we gonna do now? And like, I get angry, and you seem to like panic and shut down. You're just like, nope, I'm not doing anything. That's it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
the point is, are you being sarcastic?
No.
Okay. The point is,
That's exactly what happened.
there's different there's different like ways that we experience this in our lives, but I don't know if we all experience it. Maybe there's lots of people that are way easier going than I am or whatever when plans go awry. And again, there's all kinds of there's other levels of plans too. There's like life goal type of plans. Like I planned to get a 4-year degree, and that did not happen. So there's all kinds of levels down to tiny things of like, what am I eating right now? And when they go awry, it's interesting how we handle that. And it led me to think about, because I was realizing that the way I'm handling this is not helpful, these situations. I'm like, it's not doing me any good when an afternoon goes some way that I didn't think it was going to go, for me to, again, become a little cranky porcupine about it. And I go, why can't I control this reaction? Like, why do I get so upset? And then it was bringing up the question, like, and some of this, and I'm not going to go into a deep dive on this information because I'm not going to bore everybody to death, but as an astrologer, it makes me go, how much control do we have? And this is if you throw like 10 astrologers into a room, like it's going to be the Sharks and the Jets in 10 minutes over this question of how much control do we have. I mean, astrologers are not a monolith. There's all kinds of disagreements, and there's a lot of people that are very at the predestination type end that is like, no, you can predict everything that happens and it's going to be, well, and there's other people that are like, no, it's just, it's just energy and you can do whatever you want with it, it's your choices and you can change things on your own and blah, blah, blah. other. So there's the extremes that exist, and I don't totally know where I stand. I think I have ideas, but my ideas sometimes fluctuate on this matter. But I was I get these ridiculous metaphors that come into my head. But I was thinking, for me, the way when I use astrology as a metaphor for this thing, the way it works, and some of you at Psychic Fair may have gotten a read from me, and every now and then, if you've come to me a bunch of times, there may have been a situation that have come up that you find me saying, you know, this energy is likely to be happening for you in the near future, and these are some likely results of it. If you know, this could go poorly if you resist what's coming. If you go no, and especially like a lot of without getting into a lot of like Uranus things are very sudden change things that happen, and a lot of times we don't like that because we like our routines and we like to know what's going on and we like to be in control. So a lot of times when things come out of nowhere and blindside us, and instead of going, well, I'm going to roll with this and we're just going to go with the new thing, sometimes we just really buckle down and go, no, I'm going to keep doing it the old way and forget this, and I'm just going to close down and not see what's happening. But so some of you may have heard me say this to you, that you know, it's a good idea if this energy of new change and suddenness, that you take it upon yourself to find a new sudden thing to do. Like to do something novel out of, you know, to go find a way to break out of your rut on your own. Because if you don't harness it and use it for yourself, then it will be foisted upon you. And then usually when it's thrust upon you, you don't like it.
Right.
Most of the time. You're just like, I did not ask for this.
Right, like
But
a
when
change
you-
in a job or something.
But when you can grab it and to do something, yeah, like a change in a job, it's like you can either go look for a new job and be happy that you found one on your own, or something bad might happen, like you might get laid off or get fired, because the energy is coming that this change is coming. But and so in my head, I was thinking of this metaphor. I was like, there's a huge wave coming, and you can either drown or grab a surfboard, but the wave is coming. You know what I mean? I mean the same. And I also a long time ago led a discussion on anger, and it was the same thing of some of these kind of Mars energies that has to do with our anger. It's like if you know you have one of these things coming, you can go find something to do that is Mars-like, that's physical. You can go work out, or you can, you know, move a bunch of boxes, or you can do things that are physical and get that energy out, or you can do nothing and then watch it spewing out with you arguing with your relatives and, you know, shaking your fist at some dude in the parking lot because he took your spot and all that kind of stuff that doesn't need to happen.
Right.
So part of me is that when I make the plans and they go awry, I get frustrated. And then part of me asks the question, and some of this is me throwing my hands up in the air, is going, why do I plan stuff? Why do I bother doing this in the first place if sometimes it feels like I have no control at all over what is happening in my life? And I think some of that's just me whining, but I asked that question though. I said, why do I bother planning stuff if it's just gonna, the universe is just doing what it wants, you know what I mean? And so that's where I open it up to you. What, you know, some of the questions I'm asking. One, how do you feel yourself reacting? What kinds of, on what level do you maybe see yourself getting upset when things you planned didn't happen that way you were, you know, and now you have to change everything? And the other question is, you know, what do you think? Like, how much control do we have? How much planning should we do? So those are the things I'm opening to group. I see Sandra already.
Okay, there's two things. One, maybe the question could be, how do I more completely move into alignment with the perfect unfoldment of the universal plan?
And I don't know the answer to that question, but that's a good question.
Well, so, I mean, rather than trying to be in resistance or trying to, you know, change the course of the stream, you find a way to float down the river and stay kind of resilient. You know? So that's one thing. The other thing is, some therapist once told me that anger is a secondary emotion, and underlying it is always something else. And half the time, it's shame. And So when you feel like your ability, your competence, your core competence is in jeopardy or being questioned, not necessarily by anyone, but just even in your own mind, that feeling of shame comes up. And then rather than really facing that, we get angry. And we use that anger to divert ourselves from facing that underlying thing. And I struggle with this all the time, so you're not alone. You know, I try to, I like to have things a certain way, especially when we're doing things, you know, it's like
There's
things
a process.
Right. But, you know, I can feel myself getting anxious, stressed out, or worried or whatever when things are diverting from the plan. But every single time, if I just take a deep breath and step back and say, okay, I'm in the river, I'm going to go with the flow, and whatever happens is going to happen, and it's going to be okay. I always wind up being a lot happier. You know, and it's a mental discipline. It's a training. It's like a Jedi mind trick or whatever you want to call it.
That's why I'm failing at it. That's the whole discipline thing.
Right. It takes practice. It takes practice. It takes awareness, and it takes practice. But the thing is that once you recognize what the pattern is, you have the conscious ability to recognize it and make a choice.
Right,
You know, because you're not a robot.
right.
You're a human being, and you have the ability to say, what is my desired outcome? What is the outcome that I want from this circumstance? And I can go this way, and it'll produce a certain outcome. I can go this way and produce an outcome. Which one is the best one for me, or for the circumstance? So, I don't know if that's useful.
Makes sense. I totally agree. But can I have you come to my work and stand by me so that when I want to throw the phone down after my boss has like changed my priority for like a 70,000 time that day?
Well, I have
you
a
can tell me still calm down.
You said the writing mantra on one wrist. You can just put a little picture of me on the other one.
Oh, okay. Nathan and David are sure Sandra tattooed on my arm. So I just it's weird. I thought Jesse shared you know something, and then Donna, I see all kinds of hands popping up everywhere.
The one story you told about coming home from work and then finding out that you have to go to the grocery store, I know in the Serenity Prayer it said to accept the things that you cannot change, but have the courage to change the things that you can. I know that the after work hour is like tough for everybody. I mean, there's stuff in self-help books about that when we come home, like I was struggling with coming home and my pet's coming at me like, feed me.
All
feed me.
crazily.
And I just wanted to go in the
your
bathroom
attention.
and close the door and like, not now, you know. So that's something that I have control over. I can say, you know, I asked Sandra, if you're home, would you feed them first so that when I come home they don't.
They're not wild animals like
Right at me.
She has
when I
big
come
dogs
home.
for you that don't know.
Yeah.
They're jumping.
Yeah, so there, I would think that, you know, like, telling, you know, your husband or whatever, how about I take the shower and have like 20 minutes and then we'll go to the store, you know, like, that's the part that you can change. So that's like loving yourself, self-care, and at work
That's a
you
good point.
can't affect you as much, but at home, that's where we get our strokes and our love.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, home is supposed to be the safe zone. Okay, Donna, do you have
Oh. I like what Sandra said, that usually we know when our plans change, and change abruptly. This timeline is set for 9:30, and now it's set for 10:30. No, now it's set to 9:30. That kind of thinking can drive me a little batty. So I go, breathe, try to be flexible, make the change, don't say anything, don't judge, don't criticize, and just try to find the middle path. It helps until I can get home and then really get through it.
Okay, I saw Laura. Did I see you, Karen, also? Did you have something or no? Did you have your hand up? I thought I saw your hand pop up a minute ago.
No, I thought of something, but I
Okay.
don't know if.
I saw Laura and then
blind.
Ronnie? No, I'm sorry. And if I said your name wrong, I'm sorry. I have to hear it like 50 times first.
That's right.
Laura.
You know, I feel like I've lived a lot of my life in that because things would never work out the way I had planned, no matter how I tried. And then, and somehow or another, I always got through things anyway. And yeah, there would be frustration, and there would be, and a lot of self-blame that I could not accomplish this. And a few years back, my godmother, Betty Lee, she came up to me and she goes, I do not know anybody who is as adaptable as you are. And it was the first time that I looked at that as a possible strength. And the realization that it is a strength. And I started looking at how I do those things. So when I plan for something, and over the course now, what I've reached now is that I have to be careful with my expectation and realize that may not happen the way I want it to, or as much as I want it to, and that has to be okay, and be happy with what I can accomplish. It also made me look at boundaries and how much I sometimes have no boundaries when I need to, especially when it comes to taking care of myself. So, like on a Saturday, if I have things I really need to accomplish, because and this weekend, next weekend are good examples. I have a wedding to do up in Tahoe, and there are things I need to accomplish before I go up there, because I'm doing all the flowers for an out-of-town event, and I constantly see people wanting to, plan things with me, and I love them, but I can't. I have to create a boundary. I have to accomplish something here, and that's to take care of me, because if I don't do that, I'm going to be angry, I'm going to be frustrated, and I'm going to have real issues in a couple of weeks. So, Sandra, you got it. It's like you have to be on a raft, and you have to realize that you're going to hit a few rocks. But do you want to enjoy the ride? And you're not going to have to worry about the rocks.
Right.
You're going to have to stick your foot out every once in a while and push yourself away. But some things, and like the prayer, the serenity prayer, knowing what you can and knowing what you can't.
And I had some people over, some relatives were at my house yesterday, and above my front door I have a little skinny tiny tin sign that says "It is what it is," and I was like, that's a tiny little short version of the Serenity Prayer. It is what it is like really that in a nutshell. But and a lot of people hate that phrase, especially in offices. They hate that phrase. But I bet people hate that phrase, huh? You're one of them. But I don't look at it that way. I just look at it as like, some stuff there's just nothing I can do about it. And what am I going to do? Sit here and rail, and there's just nothing I can do. I'm not going to waste my energy on it. One of the things, did I see your hand, Richard? I'll get right with you.
No problem.
One of the ways in which I find that this thing bothers me, this plan's going awry, is like, for example, I don't know about you guys, but I've lived in my house for 5 years. I ought to know where everything is. But if I don't have a nightlight in the living room, I gotta turn on lights. I will trip over stuff and fall like an idiot or bark my shin or whatever. Like I can't, I don't know why Nathan is like a cave cricket, he knows very good. I have to turn on the light or I will fall over things and trip. Like, sorry, have you guys ever seen those like caves, like it's like on a nature show where there's like the crickets that live in like some of these caves, like Carlsbad Caverns have evolved, they don't have any eyes. You know what I mean? They're colorless, but they get around, they don't need eyes, because they figured out other ways. Anyway, so I need the light on. I need to see what's going on. And so when a lot of times, what I think one of the, getting into why it upsets me is I use, when I plan stuff, I use the individual plans of different things in my life as kind of like little breadcrumbs, like the Hansel and Gretel. Is it Hansel and Gretel that left the breadcrumbs? It's like, I'm expecting, it's like, okay, for example, the job I have now, I got the job, and then in my head I was like, okay, this is good. After I've been there a little while, I got this job. It's pretty stable. I like this job, okay. I'm gonna work in this job until I can get my other like side incomes built up enough, and then this is gonna be the job. This is the last job where I give the finger to the man and stop, go work for myself. Like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, so here's this here. Okay, then now, okay, that's in place, and then now over here, okay, we need to make these improvements to the house, and when we get this money, we're gonna do this. And then, okay, over here. So I'm leaving these little kind of breadcrumb touchstones for myself in my life. And then I turn around, and where the hell are my breadcrumbs? Like, what is going on?
Because the birds came and
Like, we've gone recently. I mean, some of you have seen some of the stuff we're involved with like whatever you want to call them, spirit guides, watchers, whatever. And they've recently gone, no, you're gonna get another job. They actually had something lined up for me, which was right in front of my face, and I missed it and felt like an idiot. But they're like, well, now it's gonna be something else. But like, no, another job is coming because this job, some stuff's gonna change, and you're not gonna be happy, and you're gonna need to. And I'm just like, oh, because now I'm just like, I had it all figured out, and now I gotta refigure it all out. I don't like it. Like, I get upset. Because it's like I turned around and now the living room's rearranged and I have no lights again. Like, I don't know where anything is. I gotta restart all over again, and sometimes you feel like you're building a sandcastle and everything's just washing it away every minute. So that's, and some of the stuff Sandra said, yeah, I need to practice, but it's hard. If it was easy, we'd all not be coming here every Sunday. We'd have it all figured out. Courtney and Karen.
And this is something I've had to learn. Sometimes we make plans and we're like, and do what you're doing and very, and what happens is we short-sight ourselves because what we think is good for us, the universe, we have something 10 times better for you.
Absolutely.
So if you get the hell out of the way, you'll get to experience that. And that is something I've been working on, to try and just flow with it, because my life is all over the place right now, so I'm like, okay, take me out of the driver's seat, you know what I mean?
But that's the part where I go, I don't know where it is, because there's always a line, but I don't know where the line is. At what point, how far do I get out of the way? Because I can't not plan anything ever. I can't just wake up and be adrift. I have to plan some stuff.
Absolutely, and you have to be aware of what's in front of your face.
Right.
But it's like that middle road. So there's the extreme, and it's the control, and it's the, I've got to make it happen, and it's the doing absolutely nothing to make it happen. So it's right smack in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. Karen.
Now I really have something
Yes,
to
yes.
say. I was piqued by what Sandra said also because it reminded me, here's a metaphor. Let's say you see an ad or you're on a commercial and there's a movie about something that really is so, it's your life's calling kind of thing. So then you decide, my spirit guides have shown me that this movie I have to see. So you go to the movie theater and it's closed.
You don't even know how many times that's even happened recently.
But, okay, you're supposed to know the information that's in the movie. So I want you to think of the big question that you are asking for. So then you step back and breathe, right? John said, and then you say, okay, should I go to a different movie theater, or was I just supposed to know that this theater closed and I'm going to get the information in a different way? See, so there's like a bigger question.
Like, so the thing was, it wasn't that you needed to see that movie, just you needed that thought to be in your head.
Right, because then you're raising up in your level. So for example, for housing, for a number of years and for quite a long time, I was in this issue of I want a good place in my housing. And I had ideas about, I don't prefer two-level houses, I like some greenery.
Your things that you prefer on the house.
Yeah, there's certain things I don't like apartment building, there's certain things in my experience. I was born and raised near New York, so I kind of know country versus city. Okay, so all that is little minor details, but I wanted a good housing. So it got to the point that I ended up with this rehab. Well, I was forced to go and select stuff. I mean, I never hung out in Home Depots and all this, but I was selecting, you know, what little faucet was going to be in this room and bathroom, and to everything in the house, from the floors, the windows. I never said, oh, I must have proper windows made by this company. But I kept thinking I wanted sort of I have perfect housing, because by definition I had to go and choose pretty much every.
So it's like that thought you were putting out of so much of being like concerned with, I need to have a thing that suits me.
Right.
The universe threw at you like, okay, here's an opportunity to make every exact thing.
Right.
Oh, how wonderful.
And even when I ended up getting an agent just by happenstance, because of things that this happened and that, like the movie theater's closed, so you go next door to get a cup of coffee and you meet the guy who's the agent. Like that kind of stuff was happening. And the agent told me to go look in this place. And I looked and I saw, I don't know, something was going on that day. I saw like somebody had their trailer thing, but it looked like sort of trailer park trash neighborhood. So I said, I don't know, I think I need a little step up. It's like, are you sure? Go look again. I don't know what you were seeing. And he was right, that day in particular. And then I saw an open house, and the agent in that place told me to go down the street, even though he wasn't selling that house.
But he knew about it to tell you.
Yeah, and it just came on the market that morning.
Nice.
So I was like, they were putting the sign in when I drove up. You couldn't, I mean,
Right.
you know,
Okay,
it
that's
was.
wonderful.
Yeah, so I think if you say, my job is going to do this for me, and then do you have a figure of money in your head, or do you say, my job will supply me to make my house this way?
Mm-hmm.
And then they will supply you the job. You could be, you know, selling flowers at weddings or something, but they'll supply you the job that will get you.
So you're saying
where
that
you
your
wanna go.
intention should be on the end game of
Right.
like, what is the point of this? Why, you know, and then see what can be put in your path
Right,
that
and
is
then you'll
gonna fulfill
notice.
that.
Right.
What you focus on grows, so you'll notice when they put a job to do
Yeah.
right in front. And I'm very sorry, I was driving around looking for parking. Something about your boss would keep switching the things.
Oh
to
yeah,
do.
at my job, I
So-
mean, it's graphic design, and
So maybe
there's just a lot of
now
things
they
going
could
on.
do
So
it.
my boss will be like, well, he's like, okay, this task needs to be done. So I start with task A needs to be done. So I start working on task A, and then he comes in and he goes, well, I have this task B you need to do. I'm like, okay, but you said task A had to be done by this deadline, and if I stop working on it now, it's not going to get done. I know, but you need to work on this. This is really important.
Okay, you know
So
what?
then I do B, and I'm starting working on B, and he goes, well, what's going on with A? And I'm like, you told me to work on this. And he's like, okay, but then there's also C I need to do. I'm like, bro, you gotta let me work, man. And I get very frustrated. I'm
But-
like,
I bet you did.
But if your goal is to make money,
Yeah.
they keep paying you.
right, no, absolutely.
And you're fooling
it's
around
hard-
with graphics.
It's
and
hard to
you're paying.
let go of some of that stuff because I'm like, I just want to get one thing done. Anyway, you can see my frustration. Richard.
I think my life, the pendulum has gone, instead of back and forth, it's been going in circles. I started out as a kid, something would happen, we couldn't do what the family was going to do, and regardless of the reason, I'd fly off the handle. Then I moved away from that into Chicago. Here I am, a 17-year-old living in Chicago. And it's a miracle that I survived the 60s. The reason I'm saying that is because during that period was when I was traveling the most. More than once, I've gotten stuck in some godforsaken place that the flight is once a week and the flight canceled.
Wow.
I got a whole week to get to someplace else because I've got to go back to work. Then is when I had the most fun. Because running for buses and running for trains and not speaking the language and, oh God, now where am I going to wind up? It never bothered me once. It really didn't, because I was having a blast. Then I get out of that and I leave Chicago. I come out here with no job, no place to live, no nothing. And I said to myself, okay, you've been through this before, just settle down. I found a job and a place to live within 36 hours of the time that I got to California. Found out it's not worth it for me to blow a gasket. It really isn't. For my mental health, my physical health, because I will automatically take 2 steps backward when something happens that I'm not expecting. Doesn't mean I don't get upset or anything like that, but now I have learned to take it in stride. Okay, how bad is it that you can't go to that concert or whatever the case is? Is the world going to end? Probably not. So why am I getting upset? Why am I getting excited? So, long story short, I've learned to control my emotions from my past experiences.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Laura has something, and then I will probably say something to close us off because we're getting about that time.
And it's interesting what you said, because I often wonder if some of these things that frustrate us so much when they happen aren't there to shake us up, to keep us from becoming so rigid that we become what we don't want to be. So when something happens, rather than looking at what happens, look at yourself and how you're responding, and how does that change you and from what it is that you want to be. I have a friend that I swear every time the tiniest little thing goes awry, and it just hits her like a lead balloon. And then she becomes, one, not really very pleasant to be around, and she treats people the way I would not want to be treated myself, and I can't say anything when it happens because she is not going to hear it. And every single time that those things happen with her, I have to look at myself. I go, do you do that? Own it. Find out, where do you do that, and what is it that you're doing? And remember right now, how does it feel when that happens? And so I look at those things, and so when it does happen to me, I take special pains to not go to a place that I don't want to go. When you're frustrated, when you're angry, it is so easy to go there. It is so easy.
Absolutely. One of the last things, and this isn't any like major summary statement, it was just one of the last things I was kind of thinking about as everybody was talking. And everybody's upbringing is a little different. Our families are each all kind of unique little cells of personalities and stuff. But I, and probably at least some of you, grew up in an environment like I had, especially I was raised a lot by my grandparents, and there was just this kind of general vibe that if you say you're going to do something, you have to do that thing. Like there's no, if you say you're going to be somewhere at an event, you're going to show up, or you're going to, I'm going to do this thing for a person who I promised I was going to like fix their whatever thing that needs fixing. Like if you promise to do something, you are going to do that thing. I don't care if you don't feel good. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care if your car doesn't work that day. You figure it out. You get there, because that other person does not even really. This doesn't matter. It's like that other person. That's not their problem. You said you were going to do it, so you get there and do it. So sometimes when I think about my own self, and when my plans go awry, it's like it's that feeling multiplied by I'm breaking this promise I made to myself. And even though it's like I'm irrationally avoiding the whole point of, sometimes there's things out, like I couldn't control that this happened. It's like sometimes I still, like I go, I'm in control of my life. So if this plan doesn't work, I've broken the promise to myself that I was gonna do this thing. And I find that particularly hard to deal with, even though rationally I know that's not how it works. We're not always dealing with rational pieces of ourselves all the time. What were they? No, I just want to make sure we don't go super.
A thing I learned a long time ago when I had to work with children is be slow to promise and quick to fulfill. And the slow to promise is really the catchy one, because people promise things so quickly and without thinking, and you have to realize that you have to think about it. If you're going to commit to it, it has to be something that you've thought about, okay, and reasoned out to some extent. Can I do it? Do I have it in my schedule? Do I have it financially? Do I have the time to be able to commit to this other person? Once you think it out and you take the time before you make that promise, then you have to commit to the fulfillment of it. So how quick are you to promise to yourself?
I don't know that I have a good answer to that without taking a long time to think about it, but it's a good open-ended question.
It's just a good question to ask yourself. How quick are you? Do you think it out first, or do you promise yourself?
I think my suspicion is that a lot of things I just take for granted that, like, what could possibly go wrong? Like, you know what I mean? So I don't have to think about this so hard. That's a like, hear me now. Okay, Richard, seriously. Get in there.
Learn to take yourself out of the equation. That's what I had to do. I mean, it worked for me. I don't know if it would work for somebody else or not. But rather than get upset and excited because I don't know what train to get on and I can't speak the language and all of that, okay, take yourself out of there. What would you do? What would you tell somebody to do if they were caught in that
What would
situation?
you tell someone else to do? That makes
Right.
sense.
And I can do it that way. If I remove myself, okay, what would I tell Rose to do to accomplish her problem?
To relax.
Usually to take my hands off her throat. No.
So that makes sense. If I can remember to do that.
I have to do it that way.
Before I close it up, do we feel good on this subject?
Yes.
Do you feel? Do we want to move on to the next thing?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody else?
The last thing I would add, this makes me think of something that my dad would say in his blunt way, that he would say this, and I remember him saying this to me since I was, a young person. He would always say, he's like, you have to have a plan. And the first thing that's going to happen is the plan's going to go to hell. And you always have to have a plan.